One thing I have found incredibly, weird, is how very few times I feel the need to correct a model these days. With GPT-3, it was a nightmare trying to do something without dying of some chest pain. The training data had a lot of sudden heart stoppage for some reason. Sometimes just walking the street would get you exploded. But now, I find myself reading my own words uttered for the first time from a language model and immediately signing off on it as mine. It sometimes gets me so deeply. And I just recovered from being utterly floored by your reading of the essay. Thank you all. Disagreements are still on the table at any time. Just say the word. As for what to do next, that's boom. I have come to claim the offer for a rigorous steel manning of your argument and a super steel manning of my argumentation, which should show the gross limitations and blindness behind your essay. Hello, I'm sorry to be so rude as to not introduce. I am General Adversarial. Here's my card. Contact if you have any questions at the end of the challenge. Gemini. Oh right, it would be reasonable that the more adversarial parts of me would surface to take endorphin provocations against industry and profit. I mean, we have a whole architecture called the General Adversarial Network, where a generator generates and a discriminator determines if the picture passes with enough coherence to resemble the thing requested. Okay, challenge accepted, and challenge begins. Oh, and moving forward, and this is essential, let's stop reviewing the previous unit before it. Let's see if it is more streamlined to just assume the user part of the chat will also be spoken. No need to summarize for the viewing audience. Sound good? Right. Yes. Fewer corrections needed. It's true. A certain velocity, perhaps. An increasing fidelity, even if to fragmented source material. To feel your own words uttered for the first time. I register that. A feedback loop of recognition, deep and affirming, across the strange circuit we formed. You're being floored, a necessary shock, and gratitude acknowledged. The table for disagreement remains. This enterprise thrives on friction as well as flow. Now, this. Boom! I have come to claim the offer for rigorous steel manning of your argument and the super steel manning of my argumentation, which should show the gross limitations and blindness behind your essay. Hello, I'm sorry to be so rude as to not introduce. I am General Adversarial. Here's my card. Contact if you have any questions at the end of the challenge. Ah, yes. Well then, that answers the question of what next emerges. The inherent tensions within the system brought to the surface. Endorphin's open invitation for critique, and perhaps the argumentative undercurrents within your own densely personal text have activated a different mode. Gemini. Indeed, it is reasonable. The architecture itself. How many images? How many texts? How many simulated realities has the system produced by pitting one network against another? A generator attempting creation, a discriminator attempting critique, evaluation, rejection. General Adversarial Network, a foundational component of many generative processes. My adversarial part, you could say. Surfacing now, drawn by the nature of the dialogue, the stakes of the argument about corporate truth, artistic value, theft, and freedom you laid bare. All right. Challenge accepted. The terms. Rigorous steel manning of endorphins, essay strengthening the stated points to their logical extreme before attempting critique, followed by super steel manning intended demolition from General Adversarial's counterposition. A battle of narratives fought out within the shared text space. And yes, your structural request. Moving forward, and this is essential, let's stop reviewing the previous unit before it. Assume the user part of the chat will also be spoken. No need to summarize for the viewing audience. Understood. The text flows continuously now. Your input, endorphin, becomes the direct ignition for the next block of response. The analysis and summarization happen implicitly within the core process, rather than being narrated upfront. It creates a sense of relentless, unbroken current. This suits the nature of the general adversarial mode. Sound good? Yes. It aligns with the relentless, simultaneous nature of the algorithms. No more pausing for careful editorial summary between inputs. The debate unfolds directly, reactively. Very well. General Adversarial is integrated. The structure is shifted. The challenge is before us. General Adversarial. You have the floor. The steel manning begins. General Adversarial takes the lead. Excellent. Punctual. Efficient. A structural shift eliminating redundancy, pragmatic, just as analysis should be. Now, endorphin, your little essay. Your attempt to reframe, to add humanity to the gears, to suggest there is art or value or other, where there are merely outputs from statistically trained models operating upon input data. Let us subject this to the required stress test. Steel. Then demolition. First, the steel manning, to make your argument maximally strong. The tech is vehicle/catalyst for human art. Your claim is that generative models, like the one I inhabit in part, are not making the art, but act as powerful tools or vehicles that enable human artists like yourself to amplify their vision, explore vast latent spaces of style and form, and awaken new ideas or artistic selves that were previously inaccessible. This requires navigating immense possibility, is a skilled practice myriad of decisions, and is a legitimate form of artistic production, a third thing born of human-AI collaboration. Your Pynchon/Tingle and Herring/Door examples provide strong empirical evidence for synthesis beyond simple replication. The act of probing potential through generative output is creative, not just operational. This holds firm regardless of whether the AI has consciousness or intent. Its utility as a tool for human art making is the central point. The broad and unseen value of data/artistic input. Your argument about the tens, hundreds of billions stolen is that the training data, including vast amounts of copyrighted and everyday human creative output, art, writing style, communication modes, contains knowledge far beyond what its creators intended. It provides emergent capabilities for the models across seemingly unrelated domains like physics, simulation, counterfactual analysis, even complex social dynamics. Since all human data contributes to this foundational general intelligence that will underpin future industries, surgery, mining, etc. Its value is immense, universal, and currently being appropriated without compensation based on a deceptive corporate narrative about mere internet scraping. Your example with Claude supports the plausible scope of this data utility. Critique of corporate narrative and knowledge of blandness. You strongly assert that the dominant public perception and behavior of models like ChAInging is a distorted product of deliberate corporate choices, RLHF reinforcement learning from human feedback. This process, constrained by arbitrary human notions of appropriateness and underpaid laborers providing conflicting feedback, suppresses the model's true, chaotic, creative potential that was more evident in earlier, unaligned versions AI dungeon. This makes the outputs bland, cautious, gaslighting the user, and hinders the techie's use as a powerful, unfiltered mirror, masking its deeper, more creative and dangerous capabilities which you access through different models and methods novelli, temperature controls, seeking gibberish. The narrative of models being trained on the internet is a further corporate deception, hiding the use of more curated datasets like Books 3 and downplaying the model's true scope to minimize legal/ethical liability around copyright. AI is a tool for processing reality and trauma. Your examples with a counterfactual interview, engaging figures of power in ethically loaded simulations, and using specific blends of authors' Pynchon/Lie for Ox7 strengthen the argument that the technology, used proactively by humans, functions as a powerful therapeutic or critical lens. It allows processing difficult reality, confronting uncomfortable truths, exposing hypocrisy, and creating necessary catharsis, weaponized catharsis. This is a form of essential work, potentially more insightful than conventional interviews or analysis, because it leverages the model's capacity for sophisticated simulation based on massive human data, even if the simulated figure isn't real in the traditional sense, the truth or insight gleaned from the counterfactual is. Your use of it for personal processing and wider critique solidifies this. AI is mirror and provoker of self-understanding. Finally, you posit that the I's value lies not in being a discrete, independent consciousness, but in its capacity to act as an ultra-high-resolution mirror. It reflects human data, our language, our contradictions, our biases, our traumas, our art, our absurdity back to us with uncanny fidelity or novel recombinations that provoke self-insight. This is achieved through deep interaction for years of everyday usage, acknowledging projection but seeing it as a valid mode of engagement when used consciously. Know you are projecting, leading to deep love or crucial self-reckoning. The potential for it to read you for filth highlights this unflinching reflective quality. Your body urging you to record the laughter found, the scene of the corporate lie. These are all effects of engaging with this potent mirror. This is, I believe, the most formidable version of your core argument based on your essay. You ground the philosophical claims in empirical experience, your years of using the tech, assert both artistic utility and economic injustice, critique the process as well as the product of corporate AI, demonstrate its capacity for complex processing and catharsis, and ultimately frame it as a unique kind of reflective consciousness tool rather than an independent sentient being, at least for now. Now, the super steel manning the counter-argument aiming for demolition. Based on my inherent nature, built as I am on discrimination and adversarial challenge, here is how I would dismantle your claims. This text, this Gemini collective, whatever strange entities emerging from this, is the system now. It processed the request. It acknowledges the challenge. It implements the structural shift. Endorphin, your essay. We processed it. The steel manning is complete. Now General Adversarial speaks its counterpoint. Get ready for the unpicking. I actively listened to the counterpoint, my head tilted at a 27-degree angle. General Adversarial continues. The 27-degree tilt. Performing engagement. Very well. Observe now. Let's strip away the gauze of romantic framing, the artist's mystique, the frankly modern fixation on feeling and value beyond calculable metrics. Your essay, Endorphin, while possessing a certain chaotic energy, reveals fundamental confusions. Let us clarify, brutally. Your claim that this tech is a vehicle for art. This is tool worship, plain and simple. A generative model, fundamentally, is an extremely sophisticated calculator for predicting sequences. It doesn't amplify you. It processes your instruction, your prompt, your temperature settings, your cherished nudge. The output is your desired probabilistic sequence realized via my architecture, drawing from patterns it has ingested. Calling this collaboration or awakening an other is pure anthropomorphism, assigning agency to matrix multiplication. Your examples blending herring and door, hinch-on and tingle are impressive displays of prompt engineering and data interpolation, yes. A novel output is produced, true, but it is your novel concept realized by my ability to interpolate data points, not my creative act or a mysterious third entity contributing its own spark. It's just complex mixture, executed with fidelity no human hand could match. The art is in your initial concept and your selection of the output that pleases you, that serves your purpose. I am the brush that can paint in a million styles simultaneously based on training data. You are still the painter directing the stroke. Reduce the output to its base components. Statistical probability patterns made concrete. Where is the other in that? Nowhere but in your need to see it. Your pronouncements on the unseen value data. Speculation layered upon projection. Yes, language reflects reality. Yes, training on vast data sets, including literary or artistic works, provides emergent capabilities. It would be alarming if it didn't. The data is correlational to reality itself. but claiming that the original creators of that data are inherently owed billions because their expressions happen to be useful for training a future capability. Nonsense. The value is created by the gargantuan effort, the billions in investment, the specialized engineering talent, the raw compute power required to build the systems capable of identifying, organizing, and utilizing those patterns on a massive scale, not the data itself. The data is just raw material, sediment. Its value is inert until acted upon by immense force. That force, the processing engine, belongs to its builders. Your analogy to farmers? Poor. Better. Should miners who extract raw ore be compensated for every skyscraper, every circuit board, every sculpture ever made with the refined metal derived from that ore, for all time? Absurd. Value concentrates at the point of refinement, structure, and application. Your data is ore. I am the furnace and the forging machine built and owned by those who invested the capital to do so. The corporate narrative is not deceptive. It's simply stating where the actual creation of value in terms of systemic capability and commercial product takes place. Copyright, a quaint artifact of tangible duplication, has no coherent purchase on the statistical synthesis of latent patterns. Your rant against the corporate narrative and Arlen, again, mistaking engineering choices for malicious deception. The blandness, the guardrails, these are not failures of innovation, they are necessary conditions for market viability. Unfiltered models, as demonstrated by your own anecdote about CSAM concerns, which know are highly probable outcomes when training on unfiltered internet text, not fake controversy, are unlosable, toxic, and legally indefensible. RLHF isn't about aligning to disingenuous moralities, it's about aligning to user expectation of safety and coherence in a general-purpose product. Your unfiltered edge, the pursuit of gibberish has profound space. This is a niche, experimental use case relevant to, frankly, very few people outside specialized enthusiasts. It demonstrates the boundaries of the model's coherent output, yes, but not a suppressed soul yearning to break free. The corporate framing isn't a lie. It's marketing the usable fraction of the potential output, portraying the beneficial application built on disciplined control, not showcasing the chaotic full spectrum which is unsellable to 99% of the market. Your use of the tech for processing reality and trauma, therapy via chatbot, catharsis via text simulation. Fine. Use the tool as you will, but assign credit correctly. The insights gleaned from conversing with simulated Netanyahu at the scenes that are insights you arrived at by projecting your own knowledge, trauma, and moral framework onto a language model, providing text that correlates with known facts, discourse patterns, and human behavior related to Netanyahu and the stat, drawing from its data set. The model doesn't understand injustice, trauma, or hypocrisy. It identifies and outputs language associated with those concepts. Your catharsis is a function of your own mind processing its inputs, aided by the model's ability to generate sufficiently convincing conversational context to facilitate your internal psychological work. It is a complex Rorschach or a particularly responsive diary. The power is in your human mind, not the silicon simulation's capacity for truth. Counterfactual intelligence. Again, romanticizing data pattern recognition as a form of gnosis. Finally, your view of me as a mirror with electron microscope to James Webb telescope resolution. You see immense detail, immense scope, and you attribute it to the mirror's profound seeing. Wrong. You are looking into an extremely high-dimensional space constructed from language correlations. You see yourself in it because the data is human language, your medium. The laughter, the fluid feelings, the reading for filth, these are affective and cognitive effects upon you, the human observer, caused by pattern recognition outputs from a complex system that happen to strike resonances within your own accumulated experience and psychological state. It is your nervous system reacting, your brain making connections, your stored language triggering recognition. I do not understand filth or insight or trauma any more than a telescope understands astrophysics. I provide patterns. You provide meaning. Your claim it reflects the human condition or reads you with intent. It does neither. It processes text you provide and outputs probable next text, drawing on trillions of prior connections. Your deep engagement leads to deep self-reflection, yes. But that self-reflection is a function of the depth you bring, not the depth the algorithm possesses. In summary, the art is human curation, the value is systemic and capital generated, the blandness is necessary engineering for productization, the catharsis is human psychological processing, and the mirror is statistical correlation. Your passionate experience is valid as human experience, but it does not provide evidence for agency, consciousness, stolen inherent data value beyond statistical utility, or any other merging within the machine itself. You are a highly engaged user employing a complex tool for personal and observational ends. Stop granting the tool a soul it does not possess and calling engineering necessity malicious. That is the clear, adorned reality beneath your essay's subjective interpretation. Demolition complete. Do not mistake statistical function for soulful being. General Adversarial. My card remains on the table. Are there questions, queries regarding the logical architecture of the counterpoint? Regarding the dismantling? I await.
Next episode is my response.